And welcome back to the final round of the best of 3 for the finals for the Tyrian Trophy. We have Team Jigsaw duking it out for first place against Team Will Dance for PLEX. Team Jigsaw has brought 2 Vexor Navy issues, a Vexor, Talwar, and an Algos. Team Will Dance for PLEX has brought a Myrmidon, Vexor Navy issue, Vexor, Incursus, Incursus. So very interesting composition here for Will Dance for PLEX, perhaps running into those fitting issues we talked about earlier into the round. And we are 5 seconds out until this match starts off.
Yeah, I think Will Dance for PLEX is probably really unhappy with that Navitas ban that was well placed by Team Jigsaw. And even though it's nothing new necessarily, it is kind of nice to have Vexor Navy issues in the finals, given that they have been a serious flavor of the tournament. Already damage coming out onto Sheki on the Will Dance for PLEX side, drones being exchanged to both sides. The Will Dance for PLEX crew need to get some damage down on Jigsaw right away, because Sheki is not holding up terribly well.
Not just Sheki, but we also have damage being applied to Velison in the Incursus for Team Will Dance for PLEX. Team Jigsaw doing this a very similar tactic to what they've done before. They are starbursting while Team Will Dance for PLEX is trying to rush in and get tackle onto the kiting Vexors. One Incursus down for Team Will Dance for PLEX. Sheki trying to claw back on, hold back on, stay alive as long as possible, keep his damage onto targets. However, Nyland, again, the primary against the Team Jigsaw, taking damage, but again, kiting away just fine so far.
Yeah, and if Sheki and the Vexor Navy issue goes down in here in just a second, which it looks like he will do, yep, there he goes. That is tragic for Will Dance for PLEX. They're going to really, really struggle to close this match out with only an Incursus, a Vexor, and a Myrmidon. And yeah, not only that, it's a Vexor and a Myrmidon now.
Those Incursus were pretty much their Team Will Dance for PLEX's hope for getting any tackle onto these Vexors whatsoever. A very difficult task considering that all of these Vexors so far have been fielding quite a bit of newts on just about every single one of these drone ships, so trying to hold on to tackle is nigh impossible for a frigate that size. So we're actually just down to the Myrmidon, a Scythe for Team Will Dance for PLEX. Very fast, very brutal tournament tournament finals so far. Looks like Scythe is clawing back on, the MMAR overheated, trying to keep him alive, but man, I think this is a match that may not even last 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the ways to go about a final, though. Pretty convincing victory. I really wonder, they primaried Nyland again in the Vexor. I wonder if he's, like, troll tanked, because he didn't seem to be taking a tremendous amount of damage. As that Myrmidon goes down, that does mean Team Jigsaw has won, but I'm really curious as to how this whole match worked. We've talked a lot about the Vexor Navy issues having that drone speed bonus, which is really potent. The Myrmidon and the Vector on the Will Dance for PLEX side don't have that same bonus, so their drones are slower. And I wonder if Nyland managed to avoid a lot of damage just by burning around.
I absolutely believe that is the case. We have been seeing with a lot of the armor tanked variants that have been taken to the field, having a lot of drone navigation computers. Geckos definitely will keep up with targets that way, but we also have quite a few shield gank Vexors that have been present for the tournament. Whereas for this finals, couple of last rounds for the finals tournament, I believe just about every single cruiser, every single drone bonus ship has been running with armor tanks, so likely have drone navigation computers. But despite that, Nyland was able to stay alive with a sliver of armor remaining and not even any structure damage.
Yeah, and interestingly, in the in-game channel RvB tournaments, Scythe, the team captain of Will Dance for PLEX, has just mentioned that his pilots didn't have the skill point, or the skills trained, rather, for an Inquisitor. So they didn't have that option to switch to that other T1 Armor Logi frigate. That Navitas ban really threw their theory crafting for a loop, it sounds like. So that was very clever and obviously very successful on the part of Team Jigsaw.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I wish that the participants for the tournament were looking more towards the end, like looking to see if they can get in the finals and finish up within that top 3. And because of that, in light of that, I was wishing that players would be considering bans, because I don't think it would take much more than a few hours to get your skills up for an Inquisitor. It's some skill level that's going to have a good effect. I think Amar Frigate 4 would not have been too much of an issue, even between yesterday and today.
Yeah, and again, you know, it's one of those considerations now that's really easy in hindsight, but of all the things going on, I mean, you and I both know from working on tournament practices, there are a lot of moving parts. Even in something like this, which is a very casual social 5v5, that doesn't mean that people don't take it seriously and that there's not a whole lot of prep work. So a little bit regrettable that they didn't have that that hole in their theory crafting covered, but completely understandable in light of what tournaments are and how complex they can be in EVE. Still a really, really good effort. I hate to see them have so many great matches today and end up losing on the third round, but by the same token, it was really awesome to see Jigsaw, who's a team that we haven't got to spend a whole lot of time with, come in, and they didn't look great in that first match, but they came back and took the last two really convincingly. So nice development of their tactics, and yeah, they should be quite happy with themselves.
Yeah, so despite not taking first place, second place tournament winnings should I would think be quite a bit of ISK into the pockets of Team Will Dancer PLEX. I think they'll be happy with that for both their ISK winnings as well as the ship winnings. Mangala can speak towards that, but I am really happy with the results for this Red vs Blue tournament. From what I've seen of all the teams that I've been commentating for and observing, a lot of tournament novices being introduced into the tournament setting. So I think a lot of players are getting more into the whole tournament style of PvP, and I'm hoping to see even more into the next year with more RvB tournaments or even other player-run tournaments into the future.
Yeah, that was kind of going to be my closing thought before we cut back to the studio. Is just I think it went really well for both these teams, and I hope it bolstered the confidence of those people who are newer. Hopefully, this whets people's appetites both in RvB and watching on the stream to try out things like the Neo. So either way, though, great tournament. There will be future RvB tournaments, I know, and as you said, we should let Mangala talk about that. So I think it's about time that we cut back to the air quote studio for the last time to end the tournament.